So, hello everyone. So happy to be here for second time again, Beda. Thank you very much for the invitation. Uh, it's always my pleasure to share like the things that I love about music. In this workshop, we are going to take a small glimpse to one of the things that I feel like so close to me, that is South American music. It's the music of my land. For all of you that don't know me, I'm from Chile, that is in the south part of South America, very far away, probably the most far away that you can be. And I have noticed, and most of you know some of the composers that have wrote very beautiful music for guitar. And when we are studying for performing, right? For performing any type of music, we always do like or we always should do some kind of research about that music. If we are playing, I don't know, like Fernando Sor, we should hear like some of the contemporary composers of Sor, right? So if we are working on Sor, we should take a look to Mozart, Beethoven, the classical composers. If you are playing Regondi, this Italian virtuoso, we should be taking some look to Chopin music, for example. So in that sense, we always have this like search for the roots of the music that we are playing. For those who are playing Bach and you are playing like a suite, for example, it's very important to know what is a suite. There is this group of music inspired by folk dance and so on. My reason to be here is to help you as much as possible with South American music. I believe that one of the most remarkable and famous composers that are on the classical guitar repertoire is Heitor Villa-Lobos. Okay, Villa-Lobos is a remarkable composer from Brazil. He's a very important figure in the scene of the Brazilian music, not just because his guitar music. He was training. He was trained on the piano. He also plays violoncello, and he has a major work about orchestra compositions and all that subject. So it's a very important composer for all the music of South America, and at the same time, he has a educational importance in Brazil. He creates so many music for choral ensembles, and all by the hand of some research about the folk music. He was like going to the Amazonas and do very good like musicologist works about it. So his music is most of the time so much influence about the folk music of his country that we cannot just play what is written on the score. We should know a little bit about the roots of what does he wrote on those scores. Okay? So I will really love to show you some examples of how in the music of Heitor Villa-Lobos, this influence of the folk music of Brazil, it's over there. So I will share my screen. So welcome to my screen. Well, Thomas' screen. This is Thomas' computer. So I also need to share the audio. It's already done. So for starting, let's hear one of the most important compositions for guitar that Heitor Villalobos did. That is the choro number 1. Just by the name, we should say, what is a choro? What is that? So choro is one of the most important genres in Brazilian music. It's a very ancient music, mainly from the city of Sao Paulo, that it's just the perfect mix between the European music, because it's so much influenced by polka, by waltzes, by all the European forms of music, but at the same time it's mixed with the African root about rhythm development, and also it has a very good sense of improvisation. That things happens a lot in this music style. So as you can see, we have like the folk influence in that. We have like the Western classical from Europe, and we have the improvisation element. That's why this music was so interesting for people from all over the world, and from different like music styles. Like jazz people are very interested in Brazilian music, especially choro, and we will hear some examples from everywhere. We will hear, like now, we will see the score of the choro numero 1. We will hear that a little bit, and then we are going to hear like the roots of this music and the way that these days people are playing this style. So I will hit the play button and let's hear a little bit of that. Just with that, we have enough information. I will go back to the very first moment, to the first page, and look what we have here. It's dedicated to someone, Ernesto Nazareth. Ernesto Nazareth is one of the most remarkable composers from Brazil, and one that composed many music for piano solo, especially playing choros. Choro music, it's mainly an instrumental music style that has, in the ancient times, it's guitar, flute, and cavaquinho. Cavaquinho is like a small guitar. It's very similar to the mandolin, but it's not a mandolin. Okay, very important, it's not a mandolin. And in the classical way of playing this, I mean classical, like the folk way of playing this, it was like that trio version. The guitar itself, also it has some very beautiful things about it, because in Brazil they use a 7-string guitar. We have this, the 6-string guitar that we all know, and we have E, B, G, D, A, and E, right? Am I correct? If I'm not correct, someone tell me. And they have like one extra string, a lower string. So basically, you have a guitar and you have almost like a bass. That extra note, it can be in 3 different notes. It can be in C, very low C. Also, they use it in B, and at the same time, they use it in A. This note, but 1 octave lower. That's very low. So, with that, they win so much. So, I wanted to show you one video of of that. Some of the here. So this music is dedicated to Ernesto Nazaret. So if we are going to play this, we should hear Ernesto Nazaret. Okay, this is one composition of him with this band that is called Conjunto Época de Oro. This means like a gold time band, something like this. Okay, and this is like the typical way of playing this music style. So let's hear it like full 3 minutes of choro or choriño, they also called. Here. Yeah. Amigo is dancing. That small instrument is the cavaquinho. As you can see, it's like a small guitar. They use metal strings, and you can feel like the high register that they use. This guy was playing the cavaquinho, but in a melodic way. The other one, it was just like doing the... Okay, like rhythm guitar, but rhythm cavaquinho. Check that guitar. That guitar over there, if you can see, he has 7 strings. As you can see here, he has 1, 2, 3, and here 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is a very beautiful music. It's so alive, as you can see. They are like dancing the whole time. So, yeah, cavaquinho. Cavaquinho. And the percussion instrument, pandeiro. That one, it's an important. Yes, I will. It's a very important instrument because it's given the rhythmic support. So, the guitar, as you know, is an instrument that came to South America through like Spanish and Portuguese people that they don't discover America, they invade America. It's very important to know that. Okay? And but they took all these beautiful instruments and the culture began to mix, and that's how we have a quite particular guitar repertoire that is so different about like the European guitar repertoire. If I try to think in some European guitar way of playing music, I think in two styles. One are Russians, because in their folk music, they have the seven string guitar, and it has been said that thanks to Russian musicians that went to Brazil, they saw these 7 guitar strings. Brazilians get so interested about it, and they took it. So I think that that's one. And for example, we also have flamenco. Flamenco, it has a very particular and a very personal way of treating the guitar. I mean, I admire flamenco, and in my next life, maybe I will study a little bit. In this life, I have plenty of work with the South American guitar. And I'm saying this because I want to go to these specific kinds of guitar. We have all the beautiful classical guitar repertoire, but this type of guitar, it's a big mix of things, a big mix of different influence. One very important figure in the history of classical guitar is Andrés Segovia. You all should know about him. Segovia lovers, don't kill me. But I have something to say about Segovia. He has this idea of taking the guitar to the big stages and the big theaters. And for doing that, he was working with a lot of the most remarkable composers from the classical European scene. And thanks to that, we have most of the beautiful music of the 20th century, right? And I really thank that. But in the South American scene, something happened with Segovia that I don't know. I would love to take a coffee with him and speak about it. But he didn't have a very good relationship with some of the South American composers. For him, for example, the most important and the most important composer from South America, it was Manuel Maria Ponce from Mexico. Okay? And if we analyze like the music of Manuel Maria Ponce, he's mainly influenced by the European repertoire. He has one sonata, like Mexican sonata, that's like going into his roots, but most of his compositions are like more based on the European way of composing. That's a bad thing? No, it's not. But when we think in a guitar, and in a guitar that can represent you in any place of the world, I think that it's very important to receive and to receive like these other kinds of guitar as a valid one. And what happens with Segovia? He had a very bad relationship with Agustín Barrios, Mangoré. He had like many South American students that he forbid to play, for example, Agustín Barrios and Antonio Lauro and other composers that for Segovia, they were not good composers, okay? But, and this is a very personal thing, I believe that in this subject about composing, not everything it's about like how complex is one composition. For me, it's always very important how honest it is. And for example, the music of Agustín Barrios, nowadays, we all are playing Agustín Barrios because it's so simple, it's so beautiful, and it's so connected with his own roots that I really love Barrios. And I would love that Segovia also, in his time, he was like that he can take also that as a possibility. But Segovia, he has this idea of taking the guitar to the most biggest like theaters and to be in the same place as the piano, as the orchestra, as a classical instrument. So when he met this other guitar, this guitar became like a proof that the idea of Segovia, it wasn't the only one. So in that sense, he has a very strange like relationship with the South American guitar. Segovia itself with Villalobos, I think that in worldwide we know Villalobos in the guitar world because of Segovia. So he did a remarkable work about that. I think that you all should know like the 12 studies by the Heitor Villalobos. They are so big and so important. And in the times of Segovia, Segovia was playing the study number 1 and 11. And he was saying that all the other ones, they were or not so much interesting or not possible to play. And nowadays you have like so many beautiful albums of people playing the 12 studies, the Brazilian popular suite also. That Segovia didn't like it. And yeah, it's a possibility. But Segovia, as an important figure in the classical guitar scene of that time, he has like that responsibility of he has like that chance of taking the South American guitar and show it in Europe as another valid way of thinking the guitar. But well, nowadays we have some beautiful albums by David Russell that I met in the festival, with music by Antonio Lauro. It's a very beautiful album, and so on. Villalobos, and something that we will do later, we will know like some other composers that are not so well known, but them, they are good. They are very good. So I want to show you now some other musics that are also based in choro. So I will share my screen again. And let's hear, for example, let me see. For example, here it says jazz. So you will say, we are going to hear jazz? No, we're going to hear, and yes, we're going to hear choro again, but this one is by an ensemble that they recreate pretty much good. Like they are amazing musicians, and they are playing choro, but they are also improvising. That was one of the characteristics of this music. There was always a melodic instrument cavaquinho, mandolin, or the flute, like improvising. So let's hear this.
Hi, my name is Anat Cohen, and we are Choro Aventuroso, which means adventurous choro. We're playing music from Brazil, choro music, which we like to call it the father of samba and the grandfather of bossa nova. This is Vitor Gonçalves playing the accordion. This is Sergio Krakowski playing the pandeiro, the Brazilian tambourine. And this is Cesar Garabini playing the 7-string guitar. We're going to play a song for you by Pascoal de Barros, a saxophone player from Brazil. The song is called Teclas Pretas, Black Keys.
beautiful, right? This music is amazing. As you can see, um, um, this music style, it has improvisation, it has like the rhythm section so fixed. So this is something quite particular about all the South American guitar music. It's always related with rhythm. And that's why it's so difficult also to have like very good versions about South American music, because it has this rhythmic development and this rhythmic issue that if we don't know it, the most probably is that it's going to sound like any like classical guitar composition. And it was something that happens to me when I was studying like for performer and in classical guitar. We have this subject like in my guitar like course. Um, you have to play at least one South American rhythm in the year, like guitar composition, like solo guitar composition, and you have to play one Chilean composition. So I was playing, for example, the beautiful music of one composer that I will show it to you, Juan Antonio Sanchez, Chicoria. He's a great composer and guitarist, and I was playing this one. And this music, for example, it's inspired in one South American rhythm and one that in Chile we play a lot, that is the tonada. So I was trying to play that, and I was playing all the notes perfectly, like all the music that was written over there, but I didn't have like the mood, like the important thing about the music, that is to know and to flow with that. So it's a very important thing, and this with any music, not just South American guitar. If you are going to play one music, don't stick only to the notes. We always have to search for the roots of that music. So I have some questions. I will read it. First one is Bederson. Is there a special influence in Brazilian music from Portuguese which is not there in the rest of South America? Yes, of course. Like the fado style of music, it's a very big influence in Brazil. In fact, like composers, like popular music composers as Chico Buarque, they wrote fados, being Brazilians. Brazilian artists also, they travel a lot to Portugal, and they have like a close relationship. At the same time, the harmony development in Brazil, it's quite particular one, and I think that also it has some root on the fado ways of composing the harmonies, because in all the rest of South America, mainly we have like 3 chords, 4, 5, no more than that. Brazilian music is full of chords, and that harmonic development, I think that it comes from fado. Then it gets like influence from the French composers as Debussy and Ravel, the Impressionists. Then jazz and that thing like have construct this Brazilian music that we hear today. And we have also another question. Amigo, how does one navigate and play around the melody in South American music? Are there some patterns that keep reoccurring? Um, yes, I think that I see like two subjects about here, like the structure of the music. When I hear structure, I think immediately in the form, okay? And the form of many of the South American folk musics are related with the South American dances. So if you go to Argentina and you play chacarera, that is a folk dance, the music itself and the way of composing that, it will be under that rules that you have for composing a chacarera. Okay? At the same time, and speaking about the melody issue in South American music, it's so big because South America, we have like so many different like influence. You have like the Andean song from the mountains, and over there you have one particular style of music, mostly pentatonic use of scales. You have in Brazil the major development about harmony and melodies playing always 16 notes, as you can see, like these melodies. Like non-stop. And that's another style of composing. So in that sense, Amito, you have a big ocean in South American music. Okay? Question, do you have your guitar close to you? Let's do a small introduction. I'm not a choro player, but I know some small things about this. So I would love to share that with you. Because for me, it's not only about doing some research, that this is a very important subject, to make some research about the music that you are going to play. If you're going to play the choro #1, please hear a lot of music, hear a lot of choro, and hear Ernesto Nazaret. This music is dedicated to him, so it will be nice. So, let me play for you a little bit like just in this starting point, we have some things that are so typical of a choro music. So, take a look to this. The beginning, we are playing only 3 notes, and this is a major characteristic of the choro music. They usually start with 3 16 notes. So, for example, sorry. Yeah. I don't know it very good, that one. 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay? So we always are going to get these 3 notes. So for example, if I have it like in a free tempo at the beginning, that one is without this tempo freedom, without rubato. So it's basically constructed, the melody, and this is a very good tip for you, Amito. It's always the same rhythmic structure. It's like repeating the same rhythmic pattern, but in different places, different notes, different harmony. Okay? That's one thing about this element, about the choro. Okay? Now, in the folk way of playing, the guitar in South American music mostly is going to imitate the percussion instrument And as you see, I would love to have a pandeiro, and I would love to know how to play it. But basically, he's doing 16 notes. And with a small accent in the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So, in the guitar, basically, we can do like the same pattern. I will use a A minor, this baby here. If you don't know how to do an A minor, you can search like the chords in internet. It's very easy to catch that, to have that. So I will have this, and for starting, let's do this. I will play with my thumb the 5th string, the A note, the low A. So I will do 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it like very slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Now, a little bit faster. In order to imitate the pandeiro, in the 4th, I'm playing a little bit louder, a little bit stronger, and at the same time, I'm lifting just a little bit my fingers, so that note it's more percussive. It's a short note, staccato. So. Okay? So, after that, let's, if I think in my 16th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we are taking out the 3, and we get this syncopated rhythm. 1, 2. I will do 1 like all the subdivisions, and 1 with only the 1, 2, and 4. So. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? This is just like a very basic structure for your right hand, okay? In order to have a basic pattern for what? For playing choros. For me, as I was saying, like it's very important to make some research about the music, but also it's very important to play a little bit of this. It doesn't matter if you are a jazz guitarist, popular music, if you want to learn like the folk music of Brazil, of course you have to do it. But if you are not, but you want to play something that is based on that, it will be a very good tool and a very good way to incorporate like the feeling of this music. Okay? So for classical guitarists, it will be like such a good element for you when you want to play this music. Otherwise, let me do something. I will play the choro, but without having this, like I will try to play it like very freely, almost like a romantic period music. It sounds cool, but it doesn't sound like rhythmic, okay? And a major element in South American music, as I was saying, is the rhythmic element. So basically, when I'm playing, I have like inside my head and inside my body, I'm almost like dancing this music but I'm playing classical guitar. But what is behind the music that I'm playing is the pandeiro, this percussion instrument. So I'm trying all the time to feel this percussion. Small pause, but then rhythmic again. Wow. So there are moments where we get these small like pauses, but mostly we should play it in a rhythmic sense. It doesn't matter the tempo, if it's a fast tempo or slow, but rhythmic, okay? So, if I go back to this exercise, and I said to myself, okay, I would like to do like some direct application to the choro that we are playing now, the Villalobos, choro number 1. I should know the chords, okay? Or at least, no, I need to know the chords, okay? So first chord, F sharp, then B7, and then E minor. So, okay, this is small improvisation and and like playing the rhythm section, especially this 7-string guitar. There is one moment in this piece that let me show you. As we were seeing just a minute ago, the bass player, he's using the thumb and repeating the note. So, in like how to articulate this, if we think in the choro, we will use like repeated note with the thumb. I mean, if I make a slur, it sounds cool, but the repeated and have like a percussion thumb going on, that's mostly on the choro style, okay? So, questions? Do you have any questions before moving to some other examples? I see the video of Amito. Maybe you are writing. No questions? Someone around there? You can turn on your mic and just ask directly. No? No questions?
Can you talk a little bit more about the the places where we can where rubato is appropriate and where it's not?
Can you repeat that, please?
Can you talk a little bit more about where are the places where rubato is appropriate and where it's not?
Okay. Well, here we enter in a delicate place, because what is appropriate and what is not. I always like speaking about like the folk music. I will always try to listen to the like particularly like the folk musicians. I mean, I think that that's the root of this music. Speaking specifically about like choro, and if we take the example of the other like South American guitar compositions, it's the same. Most of this music are based in is based on the folk. So I will definitely will go to hear all those musicians that 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 belongs to that tradition. Okay, and then once you hear a lot of that, go back and hear like the composers for guitar, and give like a second listening to those musics, especially to the versions. Like when you hear some classical guitar versions of some musics, once you hear like the folk root of that, you can tell, yeah, like this version is a kind of more free one. Or this version is more stick to the tempo of those musics. Even some of the classical guitar versions, they incorporate small elements about improvisation. Like, for example, this version that we were hearing now, it's Kyuhi Park. I don't know if she's from China or from Japan, but in some moments she's playing things that are not written down on the score, but are in the mood of the Brazilian choro. So, for example, there is a moment that for example, this one. The chord, it's on the one, and I think that she's doing in one of the repetitions syncopation, and it's one very important element about choro. Okay, so I have more questions here. This may be an off track. How to feel the rubato? Can we visualize so that it comes naturally? Yeah, rubato is a very big subject. I always try to think in physics, in the laws of physics and gravity. This is surely an off-track question, but it's a very good one. And I always try to think like in the melodic shape of the music. So, for example, let me think in one music that it's on the mood of rubato things. Tárrega, for example, Capricho Árabe. Let me see if I remember. Okay, for example, that first scale for me and for you and for everyone is from here going down here, right? So if I think in laws of gravity, and basically the apple that is falling from the tree, it begins to gain like force, I think that is the word. It begins to gain like energy, and every time it's like going faster because gravity is like this. So starting very slow, and in that sense I'm thinking on the melody line. It's basically a descending movement, going back but always descending, so then now gravity is totally opposite. It's one apple that someone throws to the air. So it's and it stays a little bit on there and start to fall again. This one is drop D. So start to fall. And when it's falling, it's like, again, gaining speed, speed, speed. And we get this point again. So for me, to speak about rubato, it has first this element, gravity element. And for working on that, you and me particularly, I see like the melody line. And the other thing about rubato is another thing that it could be a physics thing. I don't know very much about physics, but it's compensation. If you are like rushing, you should give back in one moment. So if we think like in a metronome, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, if you are taking time and playing faster in the first half, in the second one, we should give back a little bit. So I always think in these two elements, like gravity and compensation. That's about rubato. And we have some more questions. Let's go back into the track. What chords or scales can I use to improvise in this style? In the choro music, that's a very good question. First of all, music analysis. Music analysis for me is so important, and to know about harmony. Like the first workshop that I did, it was about harmony, and we were playing like we were playing this Antonio Lauro, and we were like doing like simple analysis. So E minor, E7, A minor, B7. Okay? For me to have the tools in harmony and music analysis is the thing that is going to tell you exactly which chords and which scales you need for improvising in any music styles. If we see jazz players, I do admire like a lot to jazz musicians. Now I am here in this is a jazz school in Kathmandu. KJC is the name. In fact, this is the teacher. Here with my friend Tomas, we are staying here, we are teaching here about the things that we know, South American rhythms, and helping with the guys around here. Like jazz musicians, they love Brazilian music. So, and harmony. And if you want to study jazz, come to Kathmandu, Nepal. It's a good place for doing it. Okay? But for me, which chords and which scales, you need to have those tools about the harmony and analysis, Ishan. For me, that's important. If we try to make a workshop about that, we should use like 1 hour and a half just for the first part, like F sharp, so I can do the arpeggio of the F sharp 7. Then it comes B7, so arpeggio of B7. Then E minor, arpeggio, or a scale. Okay, so we will have like yes, we should have like all these analysis and harmony tools in order to know how to improvise in all this. Okay, another question around here. Can you please talk a little bit about bossa nova samba and the difference apart from the difference of tempo? Yes, there is a quite particular thing about bossa nova and samba. We can think that samba is like the father of bossa nova, and choro, it can be like the grandfather or grandmother of this style. There is a whole like historical process related into that. The bossa nova element, it has one very particular, that is the influence of jazz on it, okay? This choro music basically is constructed into chords like only the triad. If you don't know what is a triad, it's basically the 3 notes that you get from one chord. C major, if you take a look to each strings, you will get only 3 notes. E, C, E again, G, C again, and E again. So basically I have only 3, C, E, and G. Choro music, it's mostly based on this triad. Sometimes they use 7s, and the thing is that in bossa nova, they use like a more full palette of add notes. So for example, something that in a choro, they will play like, let's choose one chord progression. D minor, A minor, E7, and A minor. In a choro music, they will use these chords. No 7th, D minor, A minor, E7. E7 is the dominant. If you don't know about this, you should study harmony and analysis. Choro music, basically, they will play it kind of like this. Not like this. I'm not a choro player. Okay? In samba, they will use the 7. And the rhythmic pattern, it will be little bit different. Something like this. And in bossa nova, they will add more notes. The D minor, now it's going to be like D minor 7 and 9, for example. They surely add more notes. And the rhythmic pattern also it changed a little bit. Okay, so we have like difference of tempo, surely, but sometimes tempo can be the same. The thing that it's going to change a lot for me is going to be like harmony. Harmony is going to have like some different developments. Okay, and there is another question. Shamalde, tell us something about tango. I love that question because it will take us to different musics of South America, and that's something that I really want to do. So, Shamalde, thank you very much, but just wait just a minute because we are going directly to hear some music from other places of South America. For doing that, we're going to hear one guitarist that I admire out from Brazil, that his name is Yamandu Costa. Maybe some of you already know him. Maybe some of you don't. So I would love you to hear this guy playing. Okay? Let me set, yeah. This guy plays the 7-string guitar. Little pause. And as you can see the title here, well, his name, Yamandu Costa, Choro Loco. It means like crazy choro. And you will see why. You notice? Villalobos. How is that moment? I don't remember. Wait. Which prelude is that one? It takes like some elements from over there. So. Choro Loco, crazy choro. As you can see, he's beautifully crazy. This guy, he plays amazing, and for me, Yamandu Costa, he's a very good example of what we can call like a South American guitarist. He has, as you can see, like technically solved like the guitar. He has a very particular sound. It's not like the classical guitar sound where you try to be like you have like this like equalization of the note, like the most sweet as possible. He has like a more, if we think like equalization, he has a lot of high frequencies in his playing. Okay, and something very beautiful about like the South American guitar is that the sound is such a personal thing to develop. Like there is not a one model of how this should sound. Okay, they have the improvisation element. So inside Make, they have like all this the clarity about the rhythmic thing. So in that sense, for me, like a way of speaking about like South American guitarists is this one, like the guys that are mixing like all the folk music. They have like a deep knowledge about that. They have a deep knowledge about harmony and maybe not like not as a Western classical musician, maybe more related with the folk music, but they have a deep connection with this music. In order to show like some more examples about this, I will take this same guy and we are going to travel to Colombia, and he's going to play one composition by Gentil Montaña. He's a remarkable composer from Colombia, and it's not so well known, especially outside South America. Take a look to this. This is a classical guitar piece. It's written down, but this guy, he put himself like his way of playing. So it's not precisely as the score, but it's the same music that it's on it. Okay. Sorry for cutting you. Some of you were dancing. That's the thing about this music. You get like this dancing mood. Let's now. Yeah, Shamal, you asked for some tango music. Okay, how are you? Tango is a very special rhythm because like it has like the old music of tango is basically played by orchestras, okay, and that's very different to all the other folk music of South America. So much different. Even like in Argentina, they think like in folk music, and you have like plenty of rhythms over there. And tango is like another chapter of that. It's like a very big school. So I'm trying to think in one guitarist. Let me see if I remember. Yeah, Grela. I think that Roberto Grela. Basically, in tango, if in the folk music they are like trying to imitate what the percussion is doing, in tango they are like trying to imitate what the orchestra is doing. So, for example, they have like certain rhythmic patterns. That will be like a way simple way of playing, and it's basically quarter notes, right? 4 quarter notes per bar, but the articulation is so important, like in order to get like the tango feel. The second and the fourth beat, it's like very short. They have like some rhythmic patterns. This one is 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Like the upbeat, they make like a accent over there, and they have like all this like rough sound. They have this element that it's quite part of jazz. Walking bass. And so on. There is a very important guitarist about tango that I will write his name here. His name is Roberto Grela. And let's hear some of his playing. So I will share my screen again. Here. So, welcome to my screen again. Roberto Grela. Let's see if we have a video of him. Well, Cacho Tirao, he's also a remarkable player. Let's hope that here he's playing.
Y papel, mira. ¿Cómo hiciste las 40? Contame la historia de las 40. Las 40 yo casi al mismo tiempo hice tal vez
audio quality is not the best, but let's hear this guy.
Muchas músicas, luego estudié, fui a un conservatorio de música, tuve que tomar algún
Spanish, my language. You will not understand so much.
Tango o alguna música de nuestro
song. This is one arrangement of one song, and I'm very sure that he has like fixed like the arrangement, but I'm also very sure that he's also improvising a lot over this tango structure. Okay. So basically, what I wanted to do today, it was to have a small glimpse of which one are the elements of the South American guitar, because we know pretty much like the repertoire for classical guitar, but to speak about the classical guitar is to speak about something else, and is this way of playing of these performers, that these guitarists, that they know very good the style of music, so and they know very good the guitar and the harmony, so they feel like quite free to improvise. Personally, I'm like one guitarist that I'm trying to do that, like in my path in music, and I think that music itself, it has so many different roads, so many paths. The important thing for me, it will be like to know which one is the path that you want to take. And I don't know, for me, like, for example, I'm totally in love like of this this already 1 year and little more about traveling around India and Nepal. And you have a very beautiful like folk music, and if we think that mostly of the repertoire that we have for guitar is based on folk musics, why not to think that in India you have a major possibility of developing that? You just need a composer who wants to, who can manage, who knows very deeply your own music. And if you are not a composer, you need a composer friend, and to gather with him and to talk about the guitar, how does it works, and to collaborate together. In that same way, Piazzolla wrote mostly of his guitar compositions. If we think like a Tango Suite, this duo, I don't remember, really don't remember. But he has some some meetings with a guitarist that now I don't remember his name, but the guy said, Cacho Tirao, I think that is this same one. This guy was playing with Piazzolla in his band. And
Deepak, you know him, he had come to Bangalore. You know the guitarist. Who was the guy, the Argentinian guitarist who was in Bangalore last year?
Lautaro.
Not Lautaro.
No.
Deepak, who had come to Bangalore last year for the festival?
Roberto?
What? Yeah, Roberto Ausel. He is the one.
Roberto Ausel, he's amazing.
He is the one. He's the one. Piazzolla wrote the suite
Came
for
to
him.
Gerard Abita and Roberto Ausel. Both of them came.
Nice, nice. Yeah, Roberto Sel, he's amazing. Uh, uh, I, well, also this video that I showed to you, this guy, Cacho Tirao, his nickname, he was playing in one of the Piazzolla's bands, and they have like some collaborations about it. And so this is just one thing that I really want to say. Like, you have some wonderful folk and classical music. You have your own classical music. So I just imagine like the possibilities with the guitar, and I say that this will be amazing. I would love to know about Indian classical in order to do some things for the guitar, but I'm not the most appropriate person for doing that. I think that all of you are the most appropriate for working on that. So we have some questions. This is the question time. Siddhartha, what is that line which passes diagonally across the fretboard in his guitar? I think that that thing is just like a, you know that in the electric guitar they have like a piece of metal or steel inside. In Spanish we call it the soul of the guitar, alma, crossrod. Thank you, Beta. And that thing gives like more strength to the fretboard. And you need that if you have 7 strings, you have like some extra tension things going on. But not all the guitars have that, especially he plays that one. And let me see. Yamandu Costa has some recordings playing duets of Villalobos Choros. Yeah, he has a duet with a bass player, right? Yeah, that thing is so beautiful. Amito, how prevalent is the use of the diminished progression in choros in as to how the phrase resolve? Yeah, for example, diminished chords, they can go to anywhere. That's the beautiful thing about the diminish. So for example, if we are in C major and I do C sharp diminish, it's one smooth way to go to D minor. But if I am in C major and I do, like for example, E flat diminish, this is another smooth way of going to the same chord as before, D minor. So diminished chords, they are like, they rule. I'm studying a little bit about the diminished chord. But yes, like usually like the most classical way of resolving the diminished chord, it's 1 second minor second up. So you have C sharp diminish and you go to the D minor. Even in the choros, it's a very smooth way to go to the D minor. So if you have, for example, this simple structure, just A minor. In the choro way of playing, they will put some chords in between. A minor, B diminish, A minor with bass on C, C sharp diminish, that is the chord that is leading me to the D minor. And suddenly it became tango. I'm sorry for that. So, more questions. What are the basic mistakes that you find a non-South American makes when he plays tango? Please, oh, sorry, please ignore the question. No, I will not. It's a very good question. I mean, me as a South American guitarist, I found mistakes all the time. And that's basically because of not doing the proper research. And that thing, nowadays, we can do it. It doesn't matter if we are in India or in South America. We have internet, we have YouTube, we can hear all this music, all the roots of the musics that we want to play. If we want to play the Choro #1 of Villalobos, we have YouTube, we have like in internet so much information about this. And if you want the information that I have here in my computer, just write to me, add me on Facebook or whatever, and I will be happy to send you those things. I mean that the basic mistake basically is that like not to do the proper research and the proper practice of these folk things. In the Brazilian music, for example, for me it will be like rhythm. If you don't have the rhythm solved, if you can't play with a pandeiro or with a metronome, it's an issue. It's an issue. It's not going to sound so Brazilian. And over there, and in talking about that, it's one option also. Like we always choose which kind of musicians we want to be. Okay. Oh, Costa Rica. For example, I haven't done my research on Costa Rica, so I cannot say so much. I really like one composer, and I not very sure. I will search for that. Ernesto Cordero. Ernesto Cordero, he's an amazing composer, but now I'm not so sure that he's from Costa Rica. No, he's not. Ah, wait. This is not the musician. I found one political. Yeah, he's from Puerto Rico. Yeah, for example, now it happens something quite beautiful. I don't know about the Costa Rica music, but I know one composer. So if I want to play that music of this composer, if I want to do it in a very committed way, I should do some research about it. But nowadays, I don't want to play that music. But in the day that I wanted to do it, I will have to do my homework. He's an amazing composer. He has so beautiful music. Central America is also about rhythm, Cuba and all that. So if we have no more questions, yes, another question coming. And I will say this also. We were speaking with Veda, and if some of you are like you enjoy this workshop, we can plan to do more about this South American music, and we will do some like insights on some specifics about one rhythm. Today, for example, we saw like choro and a glimpse of all the other things that we have over there. One day, for example, I would love to show like music from my country and composer from my country and guitarists from my country. There is a very beautiful scene going on of the classical guitar that mix like the folk music, and in that sense, like there is so much to say, about that, and especially also like so many things to work and to have. Just like today, we were working on like the basic pattern. But in another class, I would love to show, like, for example, how they do the bachairas that are called this movement on the bass. Okay, there is so much material to work on it. Okay, let me see another question around. Yes, Jorge Morel. Jorge Morel. He's an Argentinian guitarist. That's right. And I think that at the same time, he's a composer. He has such a beautiful music. The musics that I have here from him are more based, like in like the Western European style of composing. He's like and at the same time he has like some collaborations with for example Carlos Barbosa Lima, this Brazilian guitarist that he's also like very important in the scene of this mixture between the classical and the folk music. I think that Jorge Morel is like, along with Álvaro Pierri, he belongs like to that generation of classical guitarists from Argentina, and they are quite important. So someone was asking, when do we plan the next class? That's a very good question. Whenever you want.
Actually, we don't have anything planned for next week. So if there are enough people interested, then we can actually do a part 2 of this. If you want.
Part 2. Yes, and if we are going to do that, I will love to know, like, for example, which South American musics would you like to explore. Personally, I would love to show you music from my country because it's not so well known, and there is some beautiful things that I'm to show it to all of you, and you will be playing like Chilean music, and all my guitarist friends over there, they are going to be so happy that their music is like going on in here. In fact, I was doing some research about the Calcutta Classical Guitar Festival, and I had like some friends around here, like Jose Antonio Escobar and Javier Contreras. Javier Contreras, he's an amazing composer. He's like he's not from Chile, he's from another planet. Like he has a very particular, very beautiful way of understanding like composition, and he knows the guitar so much. And Jose Antonio Escobar is it was his teacher, and he again it's another one of the greatest guitarists in Chile, and he did a remarkable work in his second album with Naxos. He recorded an album of only Chilean music. Guitar Music of Chile is the name. Please search for that album and listen to that music. I really love that album because he took like especially those music that are inspired in folk music, and even there is a group of pieces over there. Marcin Dilla's Lost Twin Brother, so true. He has in that album compositions by Violeta Parra, and she's one of the most important folk composers and singers. Maybe I think that we should say like the most important. She make a very big research about the folk music of my country. She has some compositions that are amazing, and she has like compositions for solo guitar that are so beautiful. And Jose Antonio, he recorded in his album Guitar Music of Chile. So check that album. It's amazing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So. Very good, Veda. Veda is always so quick. So yeah, next week, Chilean music. Cool.